The night of July 15, 1500, they ambushed Alonso, leaving him bleeding but alive. He recovered enough to return to his chambers, where he believed he was safe under guard and within reach of his wife's care. But safety was an illusion in the house of Borgia. Strangers wearing papal livery entered his room and strangled him in his own bed. While Lucrezia waited nearby, the act was too clean, the timing too precise, and the outcome too useful to be coincidence. His death cleared the way for new political unions and renewed whispers about Lucrezia's role. Did she drug his wine to ease the murder? Did she signal the assassins when guard were gone? Or did she simply turn away and let love die in silence? Her reaction to Alonso's death became legend. Grief and relief fought across her face at the funeral. She wept in public with sincerity, her sobs echoing through the chapel, yet she accepted condolences with the grace of someone accustomed to tragedy. The papal daughter understood that dead husbands were part of the profession. Then came the child, the mysterious Borgia baby of 1501, born without name or explanation. Rome gasped as two papal decrees declared two fathers, one named Alexander, another Cesare. Lucrezia called the child her half-brother, but gossip was far more inventive. Was he her lover Parato's son, who had died mysteriously 2 years earlier, or the forbidden offspring of father or brother? The timing allowed for every scandalous possibility, and the city whispered each one with delight. In Renaissance Italy, bastards were common, but this child was different. He was raised in the Vatican, educated as a prince, granted titles despite uncertain blood. He bore Alexander's features, Caesar's gaze, and Lucrezia's golden hair. He was a question that history never answered. Then came the night that Rome would never forget, the banquet of chestnuts, October 31st, 1501, All Hallows Eve. The Vatican became theater of St. Johann Burchard, the papal master of ceremonies, recorded it all with the precision of a witness. At a crime scene, Cesare invited 50 courtesans to the papal apartments. Wine flowed like a river of temptation. The women danced, first clothed, then bare, before the eyes of cardinals and priests. Alexander sat watching from his throne, while Lucrezia smiled beside him. Candles flickered, chestnuts were scattered across marble floors. The women crawled on hands and knees to collect them, while the men placed wagers on their movements. Prizes were promised for the most skillful acts of pleasure. The Vatican, heart of Christian virtue, had become a stage of corruption. The Holy Father, his son, and his daughter sat as judges over a contest of sin. Some said Lucrezia only watched, others claimed she laughed and awarded prizes herself. The truth is lost in the smoke of history, but what remained was horror mixed with fascination. Even those who condemned them secretly envied their power. The story spread through Europe like wildfire. Kings whispered prayers and fantasies, queens blushed behind. Fans, cardinals condemned publicly while begging privately for invitations. The scandal was weaponized. Alexander's enemies used it to call for his removal. His allies dismissed it as slander, yet all agreed that the Borgias had turned the Church of Christ into a theater of desire and deceit. By December 1501, Lucrezia prepared for a third marriage to Alfonso d'Este Ferrara. Her name was so steeped in infamy that Alfonso's family demanded a dowry of 100,000 ducats. To accept her a price so vast it could fund an army, she approached the altar with words colder than the marble beneath her feet. "My husbands have been very unlucky," she said before the ceremony, a line that chilled even those accustomed to death. Alexander paid physicians to certify her virginity, despite the existence of her son, Rodrigo. Their testimony was purchased with papal gold and threats, but appearances were worth more than truth in Rome. She wept as she left her son behind, forced to abandon him for politics. Her tears were real, but powerless papal daughters obeyed, or they disappeared. The journey to Ferrara became a parade of rumor. Every town whispered its own version of the papal daughter who poisoned husbands, slept with kin, and turned Rome into Babylon. Her golden hair caught the sunlight, and men wondered whether angels or demons wore such beauty. Alfonso d'Este was unlike her past husbands, a noble of reason and restraint from a family that valued culture over chaos. For a brief moment, Lucrezia found peace in Ferrara, where art replaced intrigue and her intellect was prized rather than feared. She became a patron of poets and philosophers, her court a sanctuary of beauty and thought. But peace was fragile, and her past followed her like a ghost. The world would never forget the woman it had painted as both angel and serpent. When death finally came for Lucrezia Borgia in 1519, it came not by poison or blade, but by childbirth. She died at 39, leaving behind children who would live honorably and a name that never would history still cannot decide whether she was monster or victim, saint or sinner. But perhaps that is the truest legacy of all. She became what every woman of power in a world ruled by men must become, a myth.